Hi everybody, hope you're all well. So for this video you're going to need a chair, preferably one with legs that you can hold on to, and you're not going to be sitting back against the back of the chair, but we will towards the end of the session stand up and just use the chair for balance, so you do need some kind of back on the chair at a reasonable height. So as always, if anything doesn't feel great, it might not be for you, so be mindful and just notice how you feel, and if something isn't feeling too good, then make the movement smaller. Still doesn't feel great, just come away from that completely, and let me know and we'll try and work out what's going on. Okay, so you want to sit fairly well forward on your chair, so you can have the nice right angle at your ankles and at your knee and at your hips. Okay, so sitting towards the front of the chair, just think feet hip width apart, so if you bring your feet together, step your toes apart and bring your heels in line, and then just check those feet are pointing more or less forwards, nicely parallel, and your knees in line with your middle toes. Okay, so just have a few nice deep breaths, breathing in, breathing wide into the sides of your rib cage, breathing out, just emptying out all of that air. And as you breathe in and breathe wide, think about your head floating up towards the ceiling, and as you breathe out, just empty out all of the air, all of that stale air. That's it. So breathing in, breathing wide, head floating up towards the ceiling, just lengthening you all the way through your backbone, breathing out and emptying out all of the air. And as you continue with that breathing, just take a moment to notice where you feel your weight into each seat bone or each side of your bottom, and maybe into each foot where you feel the weight, whether it's equal on each side, more onto one side, more onto the other. So just take a moment to notice. Okay, so we're going to start by imagining we have a little light shining out of the end of our noses, and very slowly we're going to make a very small circle with that light, with a beam of light shining out at the end of your nose and just circling that beam of light. Really small circle to start with, and then if that feels good, start to take that circle a little bit bigger. And all the time just noticing how that feels, moving nice and slowly. Making the circle as round and as smooth as you can. And then pause when you're ready. Come back to the centre and then start to take that circle in the other direction, but again very small to start with. And then as that feels okay, taking that circle bigger, making sure the line or the direction of the shine of your light from the end of your nose is tracing a lovely big round circle. And then come back to the middle. Okay, so let the arms relax by your sides. Just take a moment. You want to feel like your ear, your shoulder and your hip are one nice straight line. So if you feel your head is a little bit forwards, imagine you've got a shirt with a collar on and you're just bringing the back of your neck up against that collar. Okay, so arms nice and relaxed. We're going to breathe in and just let the shoulders float up any amount. Breathe out and let them sink down. So starting small again, nice and easy, floating the shoulders up and then letting them sink down. So as little effort as possible. Just that in-breath magically floats the shoulders up, and then you're just releasing them and allowing them to sink down. And if you want to, you can let those shoulders come forward maybe a little bit as well as they come up, and then just allow them to open as they come down. Breathing in as the shoulders come up and forwards, breathing out, letting those shoulders sink down, and just allowing the collarbones to widen. We'll just go for a couple more. Okay, so just bring your fingertips up onto one shoulder. I'm going to draw a circle with our elbow this time. So again, you can start small, gradually increase the size of that circle. Just noticing how the shoulder feels, gradually getting that moving a little bit, and then pause and go in the other direction. That's it. Go for one more on this side, and then come back to the middle. Let that arm come down, same on the other side. So just compare how this side feels. Again, start small if your shoulder's a bit crunchy. Keep it small if that is more comfortable. Just work within the range that is comfy for you today. So, and then we'll pause and go the other direction. And then coming back to the middle and letting that shoulder release. So we're going to imagine now we've got a line from one shoulder to the opposite hip. So it's like got an X across the front of our body. And we're going to think about taking one shoulder towards the opposite hip. So we're really shortening one diagonal line as we fold across the other and then open again. So just work in the same direction to start with. One shoulder coming down towards the opposite hip, and we're rounding through the back, letting that shoulder come forwards and across, and then opening back up again. Quite like having my hand on this shoulder. It just it's a nice comfy position for me, just keeps that arm sort of out of the way. But if that's not comfy for you, you can just let that arm relax. So probably breathing out as that shoulder comes down and across, breathing in to open up. Let's just go two more on this little line. And then let that arm come down. And we'll do the same the other way, so coming across this diagonal now. Breathing out as that shoulder comes down and across, breathing in as you open back up again. It might feel a little bit different one way to the other, so just noticing that. Again, very little effort, just allowing that shoulder forwards and across, and then opening back up again. Rounding the back as that shoulder comes forward, and just opening up and extending a little as the shoulder comes back. So just taking the back into a little bit of a flexion and rotation. Go a couple more this way. And come back to the centre. So let both arms hang down as I'm going to just come in for sort of flexion and extension now. So if you think about the distance between kind of your chest bone or your breastbone, your sternum and your belly button, we're going to see we can really shorten that distance by just rounding forwards and then open up that distance as far as we can. So if I turn sideways, we're just rounding, bringing the sternum and the belly button towards each other, and then opening to make that distance as big as possible. And you just work again in whatever range is comfortable for you. And if you want to have one finger on your sternum and one on your belly button, that just helps to emphasize the movement of one point in the body towards the other, and then taking the fingers apart as you really extend. So do a couple more there. And then when you're ready, just allow your arms to relax both sides. So we're going to keep going with that same movement. And as you round forwards, you're going to turn your hands so your palms face towards the wall behind you and maybe out to the sides. And then as you open up, you're going to bring those palms to the front and all the way out to the side. So we're rolling the arms in as we round forwards. And we're rolling the arms out as we open up. And at the moment we're just letting the head go with that movement. So we're coming to a big C shape through the back and then really lengthening and extending a little through the back. And the arms are just following. It should feel quite nice and natural. Just noticed my feet were no longer parallel. So one more like this. Now this time we're going to do the same movement through the body and the arms, but we're going to try and keep our eye line on a nice horizontal line looking straight ahead of us, okay? So rounding the back, turning those arms in, and you'll notice that your chin kind of comes away from your chest to keep your eye line level, and then opening up, and if you keep that horizontal eye line, your chin will come towards your chest slightly. So just notice how that feels. Again, if it's not comfortable, just keep it small, come away from it. All the time keeping your eyesight on that horizontal line. And again, breathing in as you open up, breathing out as you round down. Let's go 2 more. And come back to the centre. Just let those arms relax again. Think about your head floating up. Just notice how you feel. Okay, so a little bit of rotation now. So we're going to pop one hand onto each shoulder just to sort of anchor those arms. And we're just going to rotate, taking the arms around to one side and then taking the arms around to the other side. And you just want to feel like your backbone stays really vertical. You've got a skewer down, if you like, through the top of your head to the tip of your tailbone where your spine is, and that skewer is anchoring you so you can rotate around that central point without any lean forwards or backwards or side to side. Just breathing out to turn, breathing in to come back. So just notice how that feels each way. We'll go one more in each direction. And come back to the centre. Just let those arms come down. So we'll just take that rotation a little bit more. Take those hands out in front of you. We're going to open one arm to the side. And then come back to the centre. Open the other arm to the side. So still keeping that feeling that you've got your spine as the central axis and just rotating around that. You really feel like your shoulder blade leads your arm backwards. And if you think about hugging a nice big tree, it just keeps that softness through your arms and your elbows. Let's go one more each side. And come back to the centre and let those arms come down. So we're just going to do a little side bend now. So see if you can keep a feeling of equal weight into each side of your bottom and just side bending. And if you imagine that you had a pane of glass in front of you and a pane of glass behind you, you have to just move in between those two panes. So again, there's no leaning backwards, no leaning forwards or rotating, just a side bend. Let's go one more each way. All the time trying to keep equal weight into each seat bone. And come back to the centre. Okay, so we're just going to hold on to our chair legs now, so it just kind of anchors our arms. Actually, we'll just hold on with our right arm first. And we're going to take our left ear towards our left shoulder. So we just find a little bit of stretch down that side of the neck. And then very gently, your other hand can just rest on the top of your head. It's not pulling, it's just giving a little bit of heaviness. Increase that stretch slightly. And then very slowly, just have a little look down. And then a little tiny bit up, not a long way up, just a little bit. So you're just rotating so your eyes come towards the floor, and then just gently towards the ceiling. So it's very small. You should just feel this nice stretch down this side, and that just changes slightly as you bring the gaze down and then up. Or you can think about the light from your nose again and just taking that light towards the floor and then up towards the ceiling. Okay, and then come back so your light from your nose is nice and horizontal. Release and come back to the middle. We'll do the same the other way, so holding on with the left hand, taking the right ear towards the right shoulder, so you find a bit of stretch. Just rest your hand on your head, finding that stretch. And then if we think about our light again, shining from our nose, we're going to take that light a little towards the floor, and then a little up towards the ceiling. Keeping it small. If anything is uncomfortable, just come away from this. It doesn't matter, you could go back to just drawing the circles with the light shining out of your nose without any anchoring through the arm. Just getting a nice stretch into upper traps and possibly a few other things around that area as well. Just go a couple more, taking the light towards the floor and then up towards the ceiling. And then come back so your light's horizontal, release and come back to the centre. Okay, so I'm going to turn sideways again now so you can see a bit better. So we're going to do a little bit of isolating some flexion to the lower back only. So if you come back to that idea of, or put one hand sort of on your chest bone, one hand in your belly button, or one finger in your belly button. And for ladies, if you find that point where your bra comes across your middle, chaps, I'm sure you can imagine where you need to be. We're going to try and keep our fingers the same distance apart now, and we're just going to think about the pelvis like a bucket of water and see if we can pour some water out at the back of the bucket without letting fingers come closer together. So you're keeping your upper back in the same position, you're just tilting backwards through the pelvis and coming forwards. And I'm sure some of you will do a much better job of this than me. Keeping that distance between the fingers and then just trying to pour the water out of the back of the bucket or the back of the pelvis. And then coming back so the water in the bowl or the bucket is level. And what you'll feel probably is that as you try and pour that water out of the back, you want to sink with that top hand. And that's not what we want. We want to try and keep nice and long through the upper back. Just get this bit of flexion and movement through the lower back. So just rolling the pelvis backwards to try and pour the water out of the back of the bowl, and then coming back up to neutral. Keeping the distance the same between your two fingers. I think I need to practice this a bit more. Okay, let's go for one more. Come back up again. And then we're just going to straighten the legs forward and just slide the hands down those legs. It doesn't matter where you get to, just finding a little bit of stretch through the back of the legs, maybe the back of the body. And just have a couple of breaths here and really breathe into the back of the body. And then slowly walk the hands back up again. And then come up and do a little bit in standing, and we'll use our chair a little bit of help for balance. So slightly different. I'll stand this way to start with so you can see what's happening, but you can just stand facing the chair. So you can stand here. I'm just going to show you what we're going to do. So we're going to actually, for a change, we're going to keep our legs really straight. We're going to keep the knees straight. And we're just going to think about lifting one heel and then letting it drop back down again. So by lifting that heel, when you keep that leg really straight, you can see it pushes that side of my pelvis up. That's it. So you will have both hands on your chair, just lifting that heel so it pushes the pelvis up, and then allow the heel to come back down. So just notice if that hip wants to head backwards or forwards. See if you can keep between your two panes of glass, one in front, one behind, and just lifting that heel so the hip has to lift and the pelvis has to tilt. And that just brings you into a little bit of lateral flexion through your lower back. We're just working with the same leg at the moment. And then on the next one, I think I can do this without holding onto the chair, but you keep one hand on the chair. You're going to take your opposite arm up towards the ceiling as you lift that heel and then come back down. So I would have my hand on the chair in front, lifting the heel, reaching up through the opposite hand, coming back again. So we're bringing the whole of your spine into a nice curve to one side. Let's go one more this way. Good, and come back to the middle, and then you still bring your hands so you've got both of them on the front of the chair, and we'll just work with the other leg. So both knees really straight, lifting the other heel so it pushes the other side of the pelvis up, and then release back down. So again, imagine I've got my chair in front of me, lifting up through that heel. This side of the pelvis comes up, this one sinks down a little, lifting the heel so it just brings that lower back into a bit of side flexion. Keeping the legs straight, thinking about being sandwiched between your two panes of glass. Just notice how that feels. It might feel quite different in one direction to the other. Keep both your hands on the front of the chair while you're just lifting that one heel or the back of the chair, because that just helps to anchor your shoulders in the same spot. Okay, and then take your opposite hand off the chair, take it up towards the ceiling, and as you lift the heel, reach that hand up and then release back down. So it's a nice big reach up as that heel lifts, and then just release through the shoulder as that heel comes down. Well done. Let's just go for a couple more. Bringing your spine into that nice big curve to one side. Okay. Have a little wriggle through those legs. So again, still with both hands on the front of the chair, so you are in this position. I'll just turn around so you can see. You're now going to see if you can, still keeping both legs straight, pull the front of one foot up from the mat and then let it come back down again. So for that to happen, this time your pelvis will have to rotate. The hip will have to come backwards and out of the way for that hip, for the front of that foot to come up. So I'm going to come this way round. So your hands are still on the chair, they're kind of anchoring your shoulders. Just pulling up through the front of that foot and allowing the pelvis to rotate. So just working with one leg again. And that's fine. Feel sort of position to change a little bit. You're just working with the movement, allowing the body to go where it needs to pull those toes up and away from the floor. Let's go one more on this leg. And pause. I'm going to do the same on the other leg. So pulling the toes up, letting the pelvis rotate. You can flex a little at those hips. Keeping both legs straight, just pulling those toes up away from the floor. So if you want to see from this side, pulling up, allowing the pelvis to rotate, so those toes come up. And again, just notice if it feels different when you work through the one foot to the other. Just go for a couple more. Might feel those quads working a bit. Okay, so now have a little breather. We are going to see if we can now work through the feet. So one set of toes pulls up as the other heel lifts. So just keep thinking about both legs staying really straight. Choose which foot you're going to pull the toes up and which foot you're going to pull the heel up. And then just see if you can do both at the same time. And just keep working with the same foot doing one thing and the other doing the other. So I'm going from my left toes pulling up and my right heel lifting. And just allow your pelvis to move wherever it needs to accommodate that movement through your feet. Just keeping both those hands on the front of the chair. Okay, go one more with those feet in this configuration and then have a pause and switch around. So now the other set of toes are coming up and the other heel is lifting at the same time. So it might take a little bit of practice, a little bit of time to find that coordination. Just keep making sure those legs stay really straight, and then the movement of your feet is going to send your pelvis into some rotation, some lateral flexion. You're going to get a little bit of movement through the lower back and hips as well. Just go for a few more this way around. And then actually we will just finish this little sequence by alternating one and the other. So last one this way. So now you're going to switch each time. So one set of toes and the opposite heel lift, and then switching over, keeping those knees straight. Let's go a couple more each way. And then we'll just come back to the middle. Have a little wriggle through those legs. Okay, so stay facing your chair for a bit of support and balance. I'm going to turn side on so you can see what's happening. So we're going to go through our little foot series now. Feet hip width apart, check they're nice and parallel. Toes are spread and relaxed. Little lift under the inside of each arch. I'm going to come into a little squat. We're going to lift our heels and then we're going to float up and let the heels come back down again. So sinking down, lifting the heels, floating up, coming back down. Now you may wish to keep going with both feet working at the same time. If you find that easy with a bit of balance, we're going to go to one leg and do the same. So sink down, lift the heel, float up, lower the heel, bend through the knee, lift the heel, float up and down, bend, lift the heel, straighten up through that knee, lower the heel. So the one leg is taking all of our weight. Just a little bit of balance from the chair. Let's go one more on this side. We'll just keep going with both feet if that is appropriate for you, and then we'll do the same on the other side. I'm going to change my chair around. You can just stay facing with both hands on, so you have a little bit more support. Okay, so bend through the knee, lift the heel, float up, come back down. Bend through the knee, lift the heel, float up, come back down. So you may find that you can do this easily on the one leg and it's a bit trickier on the other. You can see my right leg is definitely not quite as stable as my left. Really good balance work, really good strengthening work for your foot and your ankle, those calf muscles and your quads. All good stuff. Let's go one more this way. And float up and come back down. And let that foot come down. Alrighty, we'll just finish with a nice, actually we use the chair. We'll do a nice roll down using the chair. So, keep your hands on the chair. Feet hip width apart, knees nice and soft. Have a nice deep breath in, and then as you breathe out, just peeling yourself down towards that chair. See if you could bring your head down to that point, lift through the tummy, tuck the tailbone, and peel back up again. Take a little step backwards. Same again. Chin towards the chest, peeling down. See if you can come down so that head hits somewhere towards your chair. Of course, it does depend on your chair setup a little. And then breathe out, lift through the tummy, tuck the tailbone, peel back up. Take another little step back. So you're going to do slightly different this time. Breathe out, peel down, and then start to lift through the tailbone and lengthen through your back. So you get a bit of stretch into those hamstrings. And then when you're ready, breathing out, tuck the tailbone, lift through the tummy, round the back, And then gradually peel yourself back up again. Let's do that once more. So peeling down, reaching forward with those hands, find the chair, lengthen out through the back so you come to a nice long back. Just have a couple of breaths there. So you're really sticking your seat bones out behind you. Don't let your chest sink too low, just think for a nice horizontal line. A couple of breaths and then breathe out, tap the tailbone, lift through the tummy, peel yourself back up again. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that little set, something slightly different. You can always just take a very small part of that. If you do a lot of work in the office or you're sat a lot of the day, you know, just try and remember 2 or 3 things that you can do seated and just help yourself to keep moving a little bit through the day. All right, take care, stay safe, bye.